All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new movie review. And as promised, I just got back from watching Alien Romulus with my wife. And I will tell you that this was my most anticipated movie of the year. I knew this movie was originally being made for Hulu, and then shortly after the filming started, Hulu said that they had, or the studio, Fox, said that they had such a good script that they wanted to put it in movie theaters instead. And then last week, there were some early showings. And it's pretty crazy because there was a lot of positive buzz behind this. Now, what's interesting about this was made by Fox. And people should know that Fox is now owned by Disney. And all of the people reviewing this on Rotten Tomatoes, the critics that had it at above an 85 or 88%, you have to understand that Disney is a part owner in Rotten Tomatoes, okay? And I even posted, before I went to the movie, on Twitter, I'll read you the exact post here. This is what I reminded people. I said, Alien Romulus has a great critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Keep in mind that Fox produced this film and is owned by Disney. Disney is part owner of Rotten Tomatoes. I am a huge Alien franchise fan. I will give an honest review tonight after I see the film. And I am going to give you my honest review. Now, first of all, know that this film was directed by Fede Alvarez. And Fede has done some horror films in the past, like Don't Breathe. I think he did like The Evil Dead, something like that. I don't watch horror, so I'm not 100% sure, but he's got definitely a fan base, and he's all over social media. I was excited for this. The trailers got me really excited. This movie was also produced by Ridley Scott, and so I knew he was involved, and so I was very excited. Now, this movie stars Kaylee Spaney as Rain. She is the main character. If you've seen the trailer, she is the main girl in the film, the Ripley of the film. You have David Johnson, who plays Andy, who is related to Kaylee Spaney's character, Rain. So you have Rain and Andy. And then you have some other characters that surround them. And I'm going to give you the basic plot, but I'm not going to give anything away outside of that. Basically, they're a group of people that work for Weyland-Yutani on a mining planet. And they want to get away from the mining planet, and there's a derelict space station orbiting the planet that they're on, and they feel like that derelict station has something on it that is going to help them get away. That's the basic plot. Outside of that, I'm not going to give anything else away. Now, I had heard before I saw this film that the ending was going to be divisive, and I wouldn't even call it divisive. First of all, I'm going to give you my ranking of the Alien films at the very end after I give you my score and tell you where this one fits in. But it was very interesting. There are things that I loved about this movie and things I definitely did not love. First of all, what I liked about what Alvarez did is he was able to tie a lot of the other movies into this. Know that this movie does take place between Alien and Aliens. My hope going in was that they were going to tie this directly to how evil Weyland-Yutani is and how they set up the colony on LV-426, the one that the ship was originally on, that Ripley had to go back to in Aliens to rescue anybody who had survived the colony, knowing that Weyland-Yutani sent those people there to basically be massacred and basically be test subjects. That's what we know. And I was hoping that this movie would connect it more to that. Instead, what we get is kind of a story that now is its own story thread. And if we don't get any other films, we've got another Alien story thread out there that's just floating that's never going to be answered. Because Ridley Scott didn't get his third film. Once Disney took over, they did not allow him to make the third film in his franchise. And that third film in his trilogy, Prometheus and then Alien Covenant, was going to lead directly into the events of Alien, but we never got to see that. Now, this is a story that takes place after Alien and is directly connected to Alien, but is going to do its own thing at the end. And so that left me a little bewildered. I was hoping for a bigger connection to Aliens, and that simply is not there. Now, people were calling this the best film since Alien and Aliens, and I'm going to disagree with that, okay? The feel of this film, first of all, Fede was able to definitely tie this to Alien, and I'm not going to mention some of the other films that he does connect it to, but he does connect it to some of the other films in the franchise directly. And those were the things that I really appreciated, because story-wise it makes sense, and they really do a good job of tying that stuff in, okay? Where this all falls apart for me is the third act. And I heard that the third act was going to be divisive, that it was disgusting, and that there was definitely a moment in there where it was really going to give people pause. I hate to tell you, but there isn't really a moment that's going to give you pause. There isn't a moment, they said that there was going to be a moment that replicated Ripley saying, get away from her, you bitch, from Aliens. And there was no aha, rah-rah moment like that in the film. So that never happened. And I was hoping something like that was going to happen. Instead, what we got was a story choice that I think really jumped the shark for the Alien franchise. Not entirely, but you could tell that they definitely did something for shock value. That's all it was shock value. And like I said, Alvarez is known for doing horror films. And even the first Alien was the closest to a horror film you're going to get. But for me, I like it because of the suspense and just the thought of being on a space station with this crazy creature and not having anywhere to go, okay? That is terrifying. That is truly terrifying. But I don't call that a horror movie. To me, that's a suspense film, a very crazy suspense film. This film went more into that horror genre. And the majority of it, the beginning, definitely had this Alien film to it. I'm not going to tell you how long after Alien it takes place, but you'll see that when you see the film. They talk about timelines and everything. And so some of the technology is the same. And you'll see how they connect it all. It's pretty cool. But the feel of the majority of the feel of the overall film was from the game Alien Isolation. So if anybody's ever played that game, there's a certain feeling you get when you play that game. There's a lot of that in this film. Like it's almost a one-to-one translation with the feel. So it didn't feel like Alien. Definitely didn't feel like Aliens. This was its own thing, and it felt a lot like Alien Isolation with a little bit of Dead Space mixed in. So we get to the end, and I'd heard from several people that you think it's the end and then it goes on a little bit longer. That really never happened either. And when it ended, I kind of looked at my wife and I'm like, that was weird. And that's the best way I could describe it, is it's weird. They decided to do something with the story that, like, this needs to have a sequel. It needs to have something that is going to finish up this particular storyline. And I may do a video talking about story spoilers, maybe at the end of the weekend, and have that up next week, because I'm a huge Alien franchise fan. And there were some story things where when the movie got done, on the way home, I was looking at my wife and I'm like, wait, did this person know this or do this because of this? Or wait, I'd have to see it again to find out who knew what. And exactly, there were some choices made by some of the characters where I think, why would they do that? Now, the real star of this film was David Johnson, the guy who plays Rain's, he's listed as her brother in the film, and you'll see the role that he plays. And so David Johnson, he was the real star of this. Kaylee did great in her role, and the other actors around them did a great job too. But outside of that, there wasn't anything to scream home about, to just love. So I walked away from this film with very, very mixed feelings. So let's talk about my rating on this, what I would give it out of 5 stars, and then I'm going to tell you where I rank it as far as the Alien films go. So at the end of the day, I give this film 3 out of 5 stars. I wanted to love it. I didn't love it. A lot of weird story choices. I really wish this would have connected to Aliens more to make it an Alien Romulus, Aliens film, but that didn't happen. And so I was left scratching my head going, why would you not take that opportunity to do that? Because they still could have done it with the parts that they had for the film. They just chose not to. And now we've got another story thread. And I have a feeling this is going to end up like the Terminator franchise, where they kept doing a film and then Didn't follow up on that, did another film, didn't follow up on that, so then they did another film and didn't follow up on that. And I have a feeling that's what we're going to get with this Alien franchise. I feel like it's going the way of the Terminator franchise. I really do. And that is disappointing. I didn't hate the film, but I certainly didn't love it. So let's talk about where I rank this. A lot of people said this is their favorite outside of Alien and Aliens. And for me, it's not. I would go, Alien is my favorite film of the franchise, followed by Aliens. I would then put in Prometheus, Alien Covenant. Then I would do the director's cut of Alien 3. And then I would do this one and then Alien Resurrection. I'm not counting Alien vs. Predator or Alien vs. Predator Requiem. In fact, that second film, the second Alien vs. Predator film, I've seen that several times, and the first time I saw it, I'm like, that was terrible. And then a few years later, I watched it again. I'm like, was it really as terrible as I thought? And it ended up being worse. And then I ended up doing that again. I think I've seen the film 3 times, and I hope to never see it again. I don't really consider those 2 films canon to the franchise, because then that raises a whole bunch of other questions. So for me, that's how I rank it. I would make this the 5th or 6th film in the series. I don't hate it. And keep in mind, when I said Alien 3, that was the director's cut. That film is a much better film than the theatrical cut, by far. By far. And so that's it for me. I'm really hoping that this franchise can get back on track. There is a TV show coming out. I'm hoping maybe that will be the real Alien story that I'm looking for, but this just didn't do it for me. All right, guys, if you've seen it, what did you think? I tried to stay as spoiler-free as possible so those who want to go in and enjoy it. I didn't see any spoilers before I went, so I went in completely blind. And, the ending's just kind of weird. All right, guys, so there you have it. There's my review on Alien Romulus. I have yet to see a film this year that I thought was amazing outside of Deadpool and Wolverine. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next review.